You may be familiar with the enneagram, the gut type, anger type, the heart type or image type, shame type, and then the head or mind or fear type. What I'm going to do for the first time in this talk is link that, I don't think I've done this before, to call, trial, return, Bardo. These are the three stages we have on Earth, and Bardo is beyond this Earth. We go there presumably upon death, and we probably go there repeatedly, but we don't remember, because there's no space and time. It's eternal, formless, emptiness, mystery. Now, if you map the seasons to call, trial, return, Bardo, and the phases of the day, then as we've said, you have dawn, day, dusk, night, spring, summer, fall, winter. But what is interesting about all of this, whether it's the seasons, the day, the symbols, and what we're about to talk about, is energy. So in the night, in the winter, in the Bardo, it's pure potential energy. Nothing's actually happening energetically. It's a space in which energy happens. Right? Darkness is an invitation for light to happen. A vacuum is an invitation for oxygen to rush in. If you're alone, it's an invitation for someone to reach out and try to connect with you. Millions of different ways of looking at what that pure potential Bardo night, winter aspect is, that isn't just putting a negative face on it or fear-based relationship to it. When we leave the womb or we leave the Bardo, we enter this world, energy is rising. The yang solid line is pushing up underneath. We can equate this to the anger type. Specifically, I'm looking at the triangle of 9, 3, 6, but you could interpolate a lot of what I'm saying to their wings. So the 9 is that building energy upon coming into the world, being removed from the womb, or removing yourself from the womb, and is a desire to put people to sleep and not acknowledge your anger and malice. You're unhappy about being born because things were great in the womb, peaceful, but it doesn't feel safe to express that unless you're an 8 or a 1. So as the 9, you just you don't express the anger, you suppress it. You deny it exists. But another strategy may happen regardless of how you reacted to being born, or maybe you just don't remember that, when you're seeing the mother, right? Maybe the memories of the birth trauma, or there wasn't any birth trauma, which does happen, don't really register, but the gaze of the mother is extremely important. And this may not be happening when that first day, because your vision may be too blurry. But at some point early on, you get the gaze of the mother and you're like, oh, okay, this is great. I don't know what's going on here, but I need to get this gaze. And that's why you're focused on the image. And that's why when the image isn't being received in the way you want, there's going to be shame. And that's the day, that's the summer, that's the intensity of that gaze. And so you are in touch with your gut, but you're not motivated by some kind of rejection of others. In fact, you're trying to connect with others. You're trying to see how they feel, and most specifically, see how they feel about you and how you are making them feel. So you're doing the opposite of what the 9 would do. With a 3, or a 2, or even a 4, you're really engaging with the we space. Instead of the 9 withdrawing from it, the 8 trying to rule it, or prevent being controlled by it, and the 1 judging and trying to tell people how they should be. So that's the intensity of the image type. As 2, giving to get, 3, I'm successful, look at me, and 4, look at me, I'm tragic, you don't understand me, do you? It's kind of a defeatist attitude, as opposed to the 3, which is the success attitude, and the 2, which is the disappointment attitude. With 4 needs their suffering to be the greatest. If not, then you're threatening their individuality. And then we move from the dawn, the day, into the dusk, from the spring and the summer into the fall. Here, energy is dropping. And the head types are typically not in touch with how they feel in their gut, so they can't rely on that information. And they may not even think it's particularly important. They will have some acknowledgement that their image has a value in terms of getting them things or threatening them. But really, they're more interested in what is the object permanence. So the first is the birth trauma, the second is the desire for the maternal gaze, and the third is the object permanence. So that can relate to the mother was gone, is she coming back? Do I even want her to come back? She wasn't that great. Gaze wasn't doing anything for me, and I don't know in my gut if this is a safe situation. Can't read it. But I want to use my brain, my thoughts, my mind to figure out, is that person coming back? And also, where do I really want to be? Like, once you can start to move around, is this the room for me? Yeah, maybe I can get friends in this room, maybe I can get allies, but is there anyone who's going to be a leader that I can follow? Do I want these people to follow me? What are the connections, and what are those connections built on? So what do we do with this on a practical level? If your energy is falling, and you're a 6, and you're concerned about energy falling, and this particularly is going to hit you as you get older, it's all about being called to the bardo. But if you're a 3, then your path of growth is different, and if you're a 9, your path of growth is different. And if you're a wing to those, then your path of growth is different. So this is just a general principle being laid out. If I went through every enneagram type, it would be a very long talk. The idea in principle here is simply to link these phases of energy rising at peak, falling, and depleted with call, trial, return, bardo phases we see in nature, and enneagram fixation based on early experiences where that enneagram type really got going. And then to use that as a methodology for compassion for ourselves and to see where the opportunity for growth is. And I can say that for the 6, the opportunity for growth is to surrender the mind. We can try to connect with our gut, and maybe we'll be successful, but I think that's just more object permanence dilemma. And instead, it's about emptiness. It's about the bardo as emptiness. It's about balance being found by no longer trying to or needing to move or to not move. It's Wu Wei, it's Taoism, it's the Fool in the Tarot. It's facing the abyss and being willing to fall into it. The bad news is you're falling. The good news is there's no ground.